Hi, I'm Tim Williams of Dwyer Williams Potter, Injury Accident Attorneys. I'm the lead litigation attorney for our firm. People come to my office quite frequently, and they're complaining of knee pain. Let's say they've been involved in a car crash, or a fall downstairs, or a fall on ice, whatever, but they've injured their knee. And they tell me, well, you know, my doctor diagnosed me with chondromalacia. Now the insurance company is saying that that's not related. What do I do? Well, I think the best thing to do is determine what chondromalacia is, so that's why I generally do explain that to them, and then we talk about their options. So what I like to do now is explain what chondromalacia really is. Let's look at the model. This is a model of the right knee. This is the outside of the knee here, the inside of the knee, the front of the knee, so this would be the kneecap, your shin bone, and your thigh bone. So when you walk, your knee actually bends in this manner here. Well, what chondromalacia is pretty simple. Remember, this is your kneecap here. Underneath your kneecap, there is a protective layer that aids in the smooth gliding of the kneecap over your thigh bone as you walk. And what happens as we get older is that begins to soften, and that's called chondromalacia. However, just because it's softened doesn't mean you have any symptoms whatsoever, and it doesn't mean you're ever going to have any symptoms. So what happens then is if a person is over the age of 35 or so, a lot of people over the age of 35 already have this process beginning. It's a wear and tear process. And they're hit from the front. Let's say a car crash occurs and the front of their knee is jammed into the dashboard. And so there's this pressure on the front. That can cause inflammation of this already softened tissue on here, the chondromalacia. And then that is a painful process. It can result in inflammation, which results in more pain, which results in more inflammation, and again, more pain. And so there's a cyclical process that occurs. The other problem with chondromalacia is that it can result in some pain that may temporarily go away or get better, but as a person continues to use their knee, because of the new injury and the increased softening, it'll wear their knee out quicker. And so they'll actually, within months to a year or so, they'll actually develop more symptoms in their knee than they had shortly after the crash. And that's not at all uncommon, even though they may have never developed those symptoms had the crash never occurred. So what the doctors do to address the chondromalacia then is they'll generally prescribe rest and ice initially, maybe some anti-inflammatories, and the rest and the ice will try to deal with the swelling as well as the medication. And if they can get the swelling under control, then they get the pain under control and minimize any damage to the knee. If that doesn't work, then they may prescribe physical therapy. And then ultimately, in rare cases, you might see a surgery occur, but generally they hold off on that even though it's incredibly painful for the patient. They want to hold off on surgery because unless they can go in there and there's just a piece of flap that's loose and they can cut that out, unless that's the situation, if it's simply thinning and then bone on bone, really the only option at that point would be a total knee replacement, which, you know, that's pretty major surgery, and they like to hold off on that as long as possible. So chondromalacia can result in very, very serious consequences, and insurance companies know that, and so they try to get out of their responsibilities any way they can. Well, how do they do that? First, they're going to argue that because the condition is degenerative in nature, the person would have had those symptoms anyways and would have required the treatment eventually, therefore they're not liable for it. But in Oregon, we look at the symptoms. So if you're symptom-free, even though you have an underlying condition that makes you more susceptible to develop those symptoms, a car crash happens resulting in the symptoms, it's symptom-oriented, meaning the insurance company is liable to address the symptoms even if it means a surgery. Attorneys know this, insurance companies know this, most people don't. That's why a lawyer is very, very essential in any claim involving prior degenerative changes of the knee, and in particular, chondromalacia symptoms.